30 years after staging a military coup in 1989 that ousted the democratically elected government of Prime Minister Sadiq al-Mahdi, Omar al-Bashir has exited through the same revolving door. As he consolidated his grip on power in his early days in the 90s, Bashir issued purges and executions of his enemies, both real and perceived. He banned associations, political parties and independent newspapers, as well as the imprisonment of leading political figures and journalists. He allied with Hassan al-Turabi, the leader of the National Islamic Front. Al-Turabi, a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, preached the Puritan form of Islam, which he later fused with liberal notions. He influenced Bashir to embrace Sharia law. Turabi later invited the Al-Qaeda-slain leader Osama bin Laden to live in the country. Abdul Nidal and Carlos the Jackal, who were branded terrorists, also resided in the country. Sudan became a pariah state, and the United States listed it as a state sponsor of terrorism. Fearing the damage from the West, Bashir attempted to neuter the growing influence of Turabi, who was the National Assembly Speaker. Bashir sent tanks to oust Turabi. Bashir continued the policy of Khartoum's subjugation of the South. He fought the SPLA under the charismatic leadership of John Garang. Later, Uganda accused Khartoum of financing Joseph Kony, the LRA leader who had established a haven in South Sudan. Kampala reciprocated by giving support to SPLA. Often, Sudan warplanes bombarded parts of West Nile in Uganda. At the peak of the LRA war in the early 2000s, Museveni threatened Bashir with a full-scale war. In 1999, Libya's leader Muammar Gaddafi sealed a deal between Museveni and his implacable foe Bashir. The deal gave Uganda permission to enter South Sudan and flush out LRA rebels. In July 2008, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Luis Moreno Ocampo, accused Bashir of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes in Darfur. The court issued an arrest warrant for Bashir on March 4, 2009 on counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Some scholars argue that Western powers used the war on terror and the ICC indictment as a weapon to wage a war on Khartoum to declare the South as an independent state. Bashir eventually yielded, and South Sudan was declared an independent state after a referendum in 2011. Relations between Khartoum and Kampala began to thaw as Museveni turned into a fierce critic of the ICC, labeling it a Western colonial agenda lapdog. Khartoum began to struggle after war broke out in the south, which is the pulse of the oil economy. Riots began to break out as prices for basic goods were hiked. The police state under Salah Ghosh often crushed these riots, but the groundswell of resentment within the population and army prevailed. Yet there must be cautious optimism in a country where the tendrils of a deep state run into its fabric. Emmanuel Mutaiziwa, NTV.